What's up, everybody? Gene Jackson here from the Retro Wrestling Archive with another live update for you. Just to kind of touch base with everybody. I told you I was going to start trying to do these, once a week, every other week or so, kind of let everybody know what's going on. And we've been getting some good responses from everybody. So just wanted to kind of drop in and kind of touch base and let everybody know what we got cooking here on the archive coming up in the next week or two. I've been getting a lot of good response from the OVW that I've been putting up. I've had this for a while. I've got pretty much everything TV wise from OVW from 1999 through 2006. And just kind of sat on it for a long time because I didn't really know if it was something that would really interest the viewers of this channel. If everybody was, more interested in the older stuff, if anybody really cared about anything from the 2000s, but got a couple of requests for it, so I threw a couple of things up, and it's been getting good response. So I've been putting up more from. I got a few things from 2000 up. We've got several from 2005, quite a few from 2006. So I'm going to keep that up. We're going to try to get 05 and 06, get all that up first, and then finish up 2000. And then we'll start putting up, like I say, we got 01 through, or I got 2099 through 2006. So we'll start putting the rest of it up a little at a time. Still got more AWA from 1988 and 1989 that we're going to continue to put up. Still got some more old 80s Portland that we'll keep putting up. Thomas, hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining in here today. So yeah, we're going to be putting up some more old 80s Portland wrestling. I'm looking to get my hands on some of the later 80s and early 90s Portland. I've got some of that, but I don't have a whole lot. I've got some already up on the channel. But I'm looking to get my hands on some more. And going to keep adding to what we got. And based on everyone's reactions to the comments they leave on the videos and likes and everything is what I'm trying to base what I add next. I've got a lot of stuff on DVD. I'm trying to, digitize it and put it up as quickly as I can, but it's a lot to sort through. And so I'm just kind of trying to see how everybody reacts to kind of gauge what the interest is from everybody. Cause that's what we're doing here. We're trying to put up the things people want to watch. So, feel free to always, comment, put out your request. I can't always fulfill your request, or at least not always quickly. But as you've seen in the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to, as quickly as I can. I've been getting up some of this 05 and 06 OVW people are asking for. Like I say, we got some more AWA coming. I've added some things to the Patreon this week. Wrestling Society X. We've got the entire year, what I've got available anyway, from 1985 of CWA in Memphis, which I know that's kind of a hard to find year. It's parts of it, bits and pieces of it here on YouTube. For right now, it's up on Patreon. I'm not just throwing it out on YouTube right now. There's a reason for that. I won't go into it right now. Eventually, it may find its way just straight up on YouTube. But for right now, you can access it through Patreon. I'm starting to add some Power Pro over on Patreon. We've added some Ozark Mountain Wrestling over on the Patreon. So there's definitely some things over there you won't find here, some other documentaries and whatnot that I'm not going to risk putting it up on the channel and getting copyright strikes and getting it taken down and all that stuff. So you can find a lot of that stuff, a lot of documentaries and movies and different things over there available for $5 a month through the Patreon. Also, we're going to start getting some more exclusive content over there. Got a new episode of the Hot Mics, which is our post-show, sometimes pre-show, but always post-show of the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast with me and Josh Briley and Richard Mulliken. On the one that's going up today, we're going to be talking about the upcoming season of Dark Side of the Ring. We're going to talk about all the topics that are going to be discussed on this season of Dark Side of the Ring. Some very interesting Very interesting topics. Going to be some controversial subjects on this year's season of Dark Side of the Ring. So we talk about that on the Hot Mics, available exclusively on Patreon for just $5 a month. And also coming to Patreon very soon, you know, we have the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast where we do reviews of right now USWA from 1993. That's available over at WrestleCopia.com. The podcast, the video cast is over on their channel. It's exclusive to WrestleCopia, so I can't put it up here on the archive. But what I am going to be adding soon, we're doing a new show, Patreon only, at least starting out. We may eventually, we'll put it on Patreon, and then over time, the episodes may eventually find their way to the channel, but they will be, as they, go up immediately as they're recorded. It's going to be the Retro Wrestling Review CWA podcast, where we are going to be starting out reviewing the year of 1988. It's going to follow the same format as the USWA podcast, except instead of reviewing USWA, we're going to be reviewing old CWA episodes. Got some different co-hosts coming in for that one. Josh and Richard stay pretty busy between the USWA show and P3 Radio. So those guys won't be joining me for that, but I do have a couple of co-hosts, one that you're familiar with, one that you're going to be meeting for the first time, but they're both very excited about the show. I'm excited about the show. If you know anything about 1988 in Memphis, there's some fun stuff there. There's some good stuff. There's some bad stuff. So there's plenty to be had for a review show, kind of like the year of 1993 for USWA. The reason I started with it and picked it is, there's kind of good, bad, and ugly. There's good stuff to talk about. But there's also some stuff to have some fun with, because there's just some awfully bad stuff and some weird stuff. So 1988, much the same. So we're going to be kicking that off on Patreon here probably in a couple of weeks. It's not going to be a weekly podcast, as none of us have time to add another weekly show to the mix. But they'll probably be dropping every 2 weeks. We're going to try to get at least 2 a month, maybe 3, maybe 2 a month, 1 a month, something like that, starting out anyway. And I'll have some other exclusive Patreon things popping up from time to time, maybe some audio only stuff with some reviews of different things. But I'm also going to be getting the old Retro Wrestling with Gene Jackson show back going. I don't know, with my everyday real life work schedule and with all these other podcasts going, I don't know that I can get it back going weekly real soon, because summertime is a busy time of the year for me with my real job, if you will. And so I don't know that I can put out that many podcasts every week, but I do want to at least get it up going once a month, if not a couple of times a month, and put out the poll and on here on the channel in that post. And man, it's gotten some good response. Like, there's been nearly 200 votes on the poll, which is, great. So, so far, leading the way, it has jumped way out in front. I don't know, unless we get a big wave of votes. I don't know that it's going to change. It looks like folks want to see a review of an episode of Mid-South Wrestling from 1985. So I will be seeking out a guest host for that show and looking to get that together here in the very near future. Not going to lie, I was kind of hoping that people voted for USWA 1991. There's some good stuff in USWA 1991. An episode of Ozark Mountain from 1995 could have been interesting as well. And then, of course, trying to remember what the other option. Oh, yeah, an Ohio Valley show from 2006. That could have been interesting. And I'm not to say that those things won't happen in the future. They're all in the mix for future episodes. But I guess unless there's a major turn in the voting, unless people see this and decide to sway it in another direction and give me my USWA 91 that I was hinting towards, we will be doing a review of an episode of Mid-South Wrestling from 1985. Now, if you're watching and listening to this, if there's a specific episode of 85 Mid-South you want to suggest, send that my way. You can throw it in the comments of that poll question, or you can, send it to me on Facebook, or you can email it genejackson95@gmail.com, or you can add me on Facebook, facebook.com. genejackson95 is my handle there. And I'll be happy to add you. And you can give me suggestions of which Mid-South 85 episode you'd like to see, or just other episodes of whatever you'd like me to see. You'd like to see me review on a retro wrestling episode here on the channel in the future. Like I said, I don't know if for the summer if I'm going to be able to get that going weekly again, but I know we'll get at least once a month, hopefully maybe 2 a month. And then we're going to be doing this retro wrestling review CWA podcast exclusively on Patreon, just $5 a month. You'll get that show. You'll get the Hot Mic show, where we do the after show after the USWA podcast, plus all the other content that I'm adding. Like I mentioned earlier, we're throwing stuff over there on the Patreon all the time that I'm a little iffy about putting it on YouTube. I'm afraid it's going to get me a copyright strike, cause me problems. So those types of shows, I want to be able to share them with you. I want you to be able to see them, but I don't want to put the channel at risk. I've lost a YouTube channel in the past. I had one that I had for over 10 years. Well, not 12 years. I had that channel for 12 years. We had about 15,000 subscribers on there, a ton of content, a ton of irreplaceable original content, podcast, videos, interviews I had did live in person at wrestling shows that were all lost forever when that channel got nuked, because I did not have them backed up on a hard drive, which that's my fault, but I just didn't have one at the time. So I don't want to do anything too risky. I get a lot of warnings for all this AWA and OVW and different things. It gets me a slap on the wrist, but none of it has got me a strike so far, which that's good. So we're going to keep rolling what we got. Like I say, more Portland coming, more AWA 1988. Then we'll start moving into 1989. James Luttrell. Any IWF Mississippi? I could come into some of that. I got some friends over there who ran that. I was involved with IWF at different times. I don't know, man. I would have to reach out to Leslie Jones and see what it would take to get my hands on some of those old tapes. Now, there's two iterations of IWF, right? There's the one in, what was it, 98, 99, 2000, that era of IWF that was on TV over there. And then they brought it back in, man, I'm terrible with dates these days, but they brought it back in like 2015, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. That's already on YouTube. It's on there. I know for a fact it's on there because I'm on there as one of the Monroe brothers. Did you wear a mask in IWF? Yes, I was. I probably shouldn't admit this, but yeah, I was one of the Monroe brothers. I was Memphis Monroe in the IWF, the fatter of the two Monroe brothers. That was me. So yeah, I know that lives out here on YouTube already, so I won't double post that. But they did a lot of good stuff. And like I say, I want to say it was like 99, 2000. They had a pretty good run, was on TV there in the Tupelo area, throughout North Mississippi for quite some time. And I know Leslie Jones has those tapes somewhere. They haven't ever been transferred. If I could ever get my hands on those, I would love to transfer them and put them on a hard drive and get them up online. So I don't know. I may reach out to Leslie and see how to do that. You knew how to wrestle. I don't know if that's a question or a statement. If you're saying I did, thank you. Appreciate that. I did okay. I wrestled for, started in 97. I was the War Machine over there in North Mississippi and Tennessee. And then eventually I was Gene Jackson, wrestling as Gene Jackson for promotions in Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, few different states. And then eventually, when I moved to Alabama, I became a manager, worked for some different promotions, Pro South and IWA Deep South, and a number of different shows. And then eventually I became Memphis Monroe on some of the, I think it was $10 wrestling, it was called, and LXW. And then eventually brought it over to Mississippi to IWF and OWO and some of those. Any CWA Mississippi. Actually, yeah, there is some of that on the channel. Not whole shows, but there are matches on the channel. I think you can probably search CWA Mississippi. They'll pop up. But I had a lot of old VHS tapes from when I wrestled over there. And so there's a lot of matches of some of the CWA shows, Brickhouse Brown and Doug Gilbert and a lot of those guys. And I need to do some searching. I bet I have some more CWA tapes from Mississippi that I can probably transfer and eventually get up on the channel as well. I just didn't know how much of a demand there is for them. But I'd like to put more of that old Mississippi wrestling on here and help document some of that. Jeffrey Martin put that book out about Mississippi wrestling history last year. And I read this past year, I read his book, and I read Gil Culkin's book about the history of wrestling in Mississippi. So I'd like to get some of that stuff on the channel and document some of that. And I would eventually like to, if I have the time, I'm not going to probably for the next year based on things I have going on, but I would love to do something similar to what Jeffrey did for Mississippi, for Alabama over here where I'm at now, and start documenting some of the history of wrestling here in the state of Alabama, because pretty interesting stuff and some pretty big names that have worked here over the years. But James, I will definitely look at reaching out to Mr. Jones and seeing what it would take to get a hold of some of that old IWF and see if I can't get some of that here on the channel. I also know another fella. I won't say his name because I don't want people to start bugging him, because I know there's already a couple people bugging him about him. But I know a guy who managed to get his hands on a lot of the old Corey Macklin Memphis wrestling tapes, the original master tapes of that show. And he's got them and is just kind of sitting on them. And I would like to get a hold of a lot of that. I've got some of the random episodes that I've put up in the last month or so. But I don't have a whole lot of it. I would love to get all those master tapes and transfer those and get those up on this channel as well. So those are all projects that I'm working on for the future. I've got so much going on right now between these podcasts going on and keeping a constant flow of new content here on the channel, as well as a couple of book projects I'm working on. So staying pretty busy. Plus I have to work full time. Besides all this is all just my side job, if you will. So got a lot of things in the fire, but like I said, just to kind of recap, the update is we've got the Retro Wrestling Review CWA podcast. We're going to be starting with Memphis in 1988. Look for that to start up here on the channel here in the next, probably about in the next 2 weeks. Dangerous Conversations, my show with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich, has come to an end because we are about to start a new show on a new platform very soon. I can't go into that right now until I get all the details, but trust me, Doug and Tommy are not going away. They're just coming back with a new show in a bigger forum, if you will. So I'll have news about that very soon as well. Plus, like I said, we're going to be uploading a lot of OVW ranging from 2000 up through 2006. We're going to continue adding that here. We're going to continue adding AWA 88, 89. I'm looking to get my hands on some more 86 and 87 AWA to add to that as well, and more Portland. So keep an eye on the channel. Keep letting me know what you want to see, what you like, what you want to see more of, and we'll keep trying to get it loaded up here for you. And I love all the comments. Everybody is really great about commenting on the videos and liking them. So it gives me an idea of where to go next. Because like I said, this channel exists to document old school wrestling that I love, but also to provide you a place to watch it that you don't have to go and pay a bunch of money and all that kind of stuff. So thank you all for your support. Thank you for supporting the channel, watching the channel. And I'll be back soon with a new update when there's something new to tell about the Retro Wrestling Archive. All right, guys, enjoy your Sunday. Thanks.